So it's been 18 months with my M4 iPad Pro, and with iPadOS 26 bringing huge changes to multitasking, a lot has shifted. And with the M5 now officially out, I've decided that I'm not upgrading. Instead, if you're now maybe thinking of picking up the M4 now that prices are dropping, then this video is for you. So let's see how it's really held up and whether it's still worth it today. This is my long-term review of the M4 iPad Pro. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shackington. So I went with the 13-inch model of the M4, the big one. I love having all of that extra screen real estate. I also picked up the updated Magic Keyboard when it came out, finally with a proper row of shortcut keys. Those were much needed. No more taking your hands off the keyboard just to change the volume or brightness or skip a song. I've always loved the iPad for its versatility, and I use the iPad in three main ways. On its own for just casual stuff like watching videos and browsing the web, docked with a keyboard for more productive work like researching and planning these YouTube videos, and creatively I also got the Apple Pencil Pro with it, and that is a great tool for editing photos or sketching or even making the odd wallpaper. By the way, if you want to check these out, they're on my website, linked below. Spec-wise, I went for 1 TB of storage for all of my photo and video work, which also bumps up the RAM to 16 gigs, which helps keep things running smoothly when multitasking. Now with the new M5, the two lower capacities have now been bumped up from 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, so that will help anyone out that doesn't need all of that extra storage space. I am still only using about half of that terabyte, so no need to upgrade to 2 TB yet. Now when this iPad launched, the big headline was its thinness. At just 5.1mm, the 13-inch is still Apple's thinnest ever product, even thinner than the new iPhone Air. Now despite being that thin, it has been a rock. There's been no bending or warping, and the space black finish still looks flawless. I still love the colour, it looks sleek, and even after all of this time, there's no marks or scratches. I was worried about the anodized coating wearing off, but it's held up way better than I expected. The only downside is it does kind of show fingerprints. The M5 comes in the same colours of space black and silver, so if you're picky about smudges, maybe go with silver. Now as I said, one of my favourite things about the iPad is its versatility, and these accessories really take that to the next level. These are all from ESR, who are sponsoring this part of the video. Let's start with the Shift keyboard case. This is the epitome of flexibility. Unlike Apple's own Magic Keyboard, this is detachable, so you can separate the keyboard from the iPad and then set it up wherever you want and still type wirelessly thanks to the long Bluetooth range. It gives you more freedom when you're working or editing on the go, and you can reattach instantly with the strong magnetic connection. It's got 3 distinct viewing angles: landscape mode between 20 and 75 degrees for work or watching content, portrait mode at 70 degrees for reading or browsing, and a low angle 20-degree drawing mode that's perfect for sketching or photo retouching. It's lightweight, it gives full 360 protection, and the trackpad is edge-to-edge, about 65% larger than before, with full multi-touch gesture support. Combine that with iPadOS 26 and you've basically turned your iPad into a mini laptop. Then with the Geo Digital Pencil, this connects via Bluetooth. Up top there is a shortcut button to open multitasking or go home, and you can see the real-time battery display right in the battery widget. It's got palm rejection, tilt sensitivity, and a super fine 1.5mm replaceable tip, so it feels nice and smooth and precise whether you're writing notes or drawing. And just like the Apple Pencil Pro, it's got Find My support built in. If you misplace it, you can track it down and play a sound from the app. And the best part is it's only $32.99, so you're getting a lot of the same features without paying Apple Pencil money. It fully recharges in about 20 minutes via USB-C and lasts up to 12 hours, perfect for long work or study sessions. And it comes in 5 colours to match your style. And finally, ESR's Ultra Fit Armorite Screen Protector. It's got this clever tray system that makes applying it super easy, no bubbles, no dust, and it's up to 7 times stronger than your average screen protector. So yeah, if you're still rocking the M4 like me, or maybe you've just grabbed the new M5, all 3 of these accessories work perfectly with both. If you want to check them out, hit the link in the description below. Alright, so that's the accessories covered. Now let's get back to the iPad itself, because after 18 months of daily use, this thing has really surprised me. The M4 is still an absolute beast. Now we should probably remember Apple skipped the M3 and went straight to the M4 here, and it still feels ahead of its time. Even now it flies through everything that I throw at it. Photo editing, batch processing, 4K video editing, all still run as smoothly as the day I got it. There's zero lag, I've not had any thermal throttling, nothing. It just gets on with it. And what's great is all of that power doesn't come at the cost of battery life. Even after all of this time, battery life is still fantastic. I can easily go a couple of days between charges depending on what I'm doing. Battery health sits at around 97% after around 200 charge cycles, which is really solid. That 3% doesn't mean anything. It still feels just as good as the day I bought it. And standby time is amazing as well. I can leave this for a few days and it barely loses any charge. Now, of course, it's not just the performance that make this thing feel premium. The display still absolutely blows me away. This was the first iPad with an OLED display, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You get those true blacks because each pixel lights itself, so there's no blooming or weird hazing like on the older mini LED model. Colours are still bright and punchy, HDR content looks fantastic, and I've had zero issues with burn-in, which isn't really much of a concern anymore with modern OLED panels anyway. Pair that with the 120Hz ProMotion and everything still feels just as buttery smooth, from scrolling through apps to sketching or swiping around timelines when editing. It's honestly such a good display that Apple didn't even change it for the M5. It is the same panel, the same quality, and that tells you everything that you need to know about how good it already was. Now, another change was they moved the selfie camera to the long side. So when you've got this thing in landscape, which I do most of the time, that front camera now gives you a much nicer viewing angle on yourself when you're in a video call. And that's been a welcome change. But around the back, they completely removed the ultra wide, but I can't say I really missed it, to be honest. I only ever use the rear cameras for scanning the odd document. So yeah, in terms of the hardware, design, performance, battery, and the display, this thing still feels top tier. Nothing about it feels dated or slow, which brings us nicely to iPadOS 26, because this is where things have really changed. This update completely revamped multitasking, and I think this is like Apple's third attempt at getting this right, but this time I think they've really nailed it. Apps can now be resized freely and moved anywhere, and you're not forced into weird snapping like with Stage Manager. You can literally throw windows to the side to set up split views, which I constantly use for researching and taking notes with Notion. You can open far more apps at once and arrange them however you like, although I will admit, even on the 13-inch, things can get pretty messy quite fast. So to fix that, Apple borrowed a few macOS style touches, starting with the traffic light buttons in the corners with quick layout options and a proper menu bar that makes common actions easy to find. It finally feels natural to multitask on an iPad instead of fighting the interface like before. But one small annoyance though is a lot of third-party apps still haven't been properly updated for the new UI, so the traffic light buttons will sometimes overlap with app controls, which can get really annoying. And yes, I am looking at you, Notion. Now, if you're not a fan of change, Stage Manager is still there if you like it, and so is the classic full screen mode. And I do still use full screen mode a lot when I just need to focus, and that is one of my favorite things about the iPad. But when I want to multitask, it feels a lot more like a Mac now. Overall, iPadOS 26 is the biggest update in years. It finally embraces Mac-like multitasking and makes use of all of the power of the M4 without trying to reinvent the wheel. Has it replaced my MacBook Pro? Not quite, but it has come surprisingly close. There are two main reasons why it hasn't. I still use Pixelmator on the Mac for thumbnails and all the graphics that you see on the channel. Nothing on the iPad matches it yet. But Apple did buy the company behind it a while back, so I am hoping that it comes over. And then there is Final Cut Pro for iPad. Now this is fine for what it does, but what it does is limited, with no proper color grading still, no plugin support. It's just not the same as the desktop version. And because of that, I actually didn't bother to renew my subscription when the first year ended. It feels more like iMovie Pro than Final Cut Pro. Now, yeah, I know that those are niche cases for me, but for casual editing or writing or sketching, the iPad Pro is brilliant. But the moment you try and do any desktop level tasks, you start to feel the walls of iPadOS. Still, I love that it sits in between my iPhone and my MacBook. It is more capable than my phone, but it somehow feels more personal than my Mac. There's just something that, I don't know, feels magical about scrolling content with your fingers. So why am I not upgrading? Sure, the M5 will be faster, but I kind of feel like I haven't really hit the limits of the M4 yet. It still has way more power than most people will ever need or use. What would tempt me? Maybe a 15-inch iPad Pro. I know, call me crazy, but I'd love an even bigger canvas. But the biggest thing is the software. With the same chip as the Mac, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get proper apps like Pixelmator or the full version of Final Cut Pro. After 18 months, my M4 iPad Pro still feels premium, powerful, and incredibly well built. Honestly, there is no real reason for anyone with an M4 to upgrade now, but if you've got the M2 or older, then now is going to be a really good time to pick up the M4 with a price drop. The M5 is one of the smallest refreshes yet. Just a new chip, Apple's new in-house Wi-Fi and cellular hardware, and slightly faster charging. The only interesting bit is it now supports external displays up to 120 Hz, though none of Apple's current displays even go that high yet. So I wonder what that could mean. If you found this video helpful, drop a like, that really helps me out. Let me know in the comments what you use your iPad for, and check out my recent reviews of the iPhone Air and the 17 Pro Max if you missed them. Plus my favourite accessories, all are linked below. If you want to see more tech videos from me, hit subscribe and the bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.